In this video, I'm going to show you how to use OpenAI to build trading bots. So OpenAI just released their ChatGPT 3, and I've been playing around with it for the last couple weeks, and it's actually pretty good at coding. So in order to build trading bots, you usually have to code them. But don't worry, you don't have to be like a super genius or anything in order to code, especially now that we have AI to help us out. Now, I want to go ahead and show you exactly how to use OpenAI to build these trading bots so you can automate your strategy. Now, we'll go ahead and do a simple example in this video just to start out light, but I have much more in-depth trading bots inside of bootcamp I put together. There's a link for that below, but I want to really focus on giving you as much value as possible in this video here. So we're going to go ahead and show you exactly step by step. If you have like a strategy, say it's to buy when it crosses the 20 moving average, or sell when the price is going down and crosses the 40 moving average, or sell when it bounces up to the VWAP, whatever it might be, I'm sure you have a good strategy in mind. And I just want to be here to encourage you that even if you don't know how to code, you can figure this out, because trading is not easy and coding is just another skill just like trading. So what I want to go ahead and do is show you the power of OpenAI and GPT-3 to help you on your coding journey in order to really algorithmic trade, and it's going to be fun. So what I'm going to do here is first try to explain a strategy, just a simple strategy that we can build. Let's say with Python and CCXT, build a strategy that buys Bitcoin when the price is over, let's say, is over the 20 SMA, and then sell Bitcoin, sell when the price drops under the 40 SMA. So let's say it's over the 20 SMA, then hold for 5 days, and then sell when the price is under the 40 SMA. So this is like the 40 SMA, the red right here. It's actually the 41, but close enough. So we want to buy when the price goes above this green line, which is the 20 SMA. And then we want to hold for 5 days. And then when the price comes under the 40 SMA, which we're going to give it 5 days here to get over it. Once it goes under it, then we will sell. So we would have to look at the daily. I'm looking at the 15-minute right now. And you can see price recently went over the 20 SMA. But then we give it 5 full days in order to go back under, or to go over the 41 SMA. And from there, if it drops back down, we would sell. So that's the strategy. And let's see what ChatGPT can give us. So let's go ahead and make this a little easier to read. And let's go ahead and see what ChatGPT 3 can do from OpenAI. So with Python and CCXT, build a strategy that buys Bitcoin when the price is over the 20 SMA. And I'm gonna just make it a little easier, simple, moving average. Then hold the Bitcoin for a minimum of 5 days, then sell when the price drops under the 40 SMA. So I'm telling it to use Python, code with Python, and CCXT. CCXT is essentially how we connect to the exchange. Then we want to build a strategy that buys Bitcoin when the price is over the 20 SMA. And let's see how it works. See if it does anything good for me. And I'm going to pull up my code here just so I can test it all. I'm gonna import my don't share config, import don't share config. I'm gonna import CCXT. Oh, it's using Bitfin. Okay, I want to try this again. You can see it's writing code though. This is amazing. So you can see it actually created the SMA. It checks the SMA 20. Wow, this is amazing. So it goes ahead and says price exchange, gets the ticker price here, which is correct. Let's see if we can make this a little bigger for you. Okay, that's a little bigger. You can see it gets the price, retrieve the current price. It calculates the 20 SMA using a rolling window of 20. So it says SMA 20, grabs the rolling window and gets the mean, which is perfect. Now, if the price is over the 20 SMA, it creates the order, exchange create market order. And then we hold for 5 days. You can use a timer or date comparison. Looks like it didn't build that part. But then it says if price is under the 40 SMA, then we sell. Okay, so I want to change a couple things. So I'm gonna say, hey, change the above code in order to work with Femex using CCXT, because that is what I want to do. Let's see if it changes it for us. So import CCXT, import pandas as PD, exchange CCXT.Femex. Okay, this is great. And then we're going to test this out. So let's go ahead and pull in some of this code and just test it out with ChatGPT and see how this goes. It also looks like it's not building out the timer part, so I'd be interested to see how it would want to implement that. But let's go ahead and test some of this code just to see how powerful it is. I'm pretty amazed because a lot of this will just take, I would say maybe take an hour or something to create by hand, and we just did it in like a few seconds. Now, it did miss one part, which is holding for 5 days. But I think if we work on this with it and keep asking more questions like, hey, how would I build a function to hold for 5 days? I think we could actually do it. So while the first run, I wouldn't say it's perfect, but we can definitely get some good value out of this. Let's go ahead and import these two lines. So exchange equals CCXT.Femex. It forgot to put in the keys. So I need to add the keys here. And let's go ahead and do that just really quickly. So to add my keys, pretty easy to do. I'm gonna go ahead and just copy paste from my other one. You can see what it did is it initialized CCXT.Femex perfectly, but then it just didn't add this part because it probably doesn't have, well, it obviously doesn't have my API keys. And I just set it up through a don't share config, so I don't share it on YouTube. But essentially, you could put your keys in like that without this part, and your secret in like that as well. And you should be connected to the exchange. So that's pretty good. It was able to look up the documentation for getting the keys. I could probably say, what is the function, or how can you show me how to connect to CCXT with, can you edit the code? Can you edit the code above in order to use my key and secret to connect to the exchange, to Femex? Let's see if it goes ahead and gives me an example. Certainly, to use your API key and secret, you build a constructor, and this is how you do it. So import CCXT API, Okay, this is how they're doing it. And this is exactly what I did as well. As you can see here, just made that edit. And this is what's cool about it. You can keep talking to it and it just made an edit, and now it's gonna redo the whole code. So as you can see, my highlighted part is here, and this is exactly what they did. Now you can't see this part because I had to hide it into another file called don't share config. But the thing that I wanna do next is like, can you write out this part of code? You add this part of code that you missed above. And then what did it say? It said hold for at least 5 days. Let's see how smart this is. Hold for at least. Certainly, here's an example of how you can modify the code to hold the BTC for 5 days. Okay, look at this. And now they import time. So I'm going to import that one as well. And this is pretty amazing because it's like talking to an engineer, right? So first time through, they're like, hey, you could do it this way, but I actually didn't write the code. Second time through, I asked them to figure out the key situation. And look at this. Look at my API key. Like I've done this in the past by hand. It goes and looks through the docs and figures out how to do that. So this is quite impressive. And then look at this right here. It went ahead and now updated the function to say hold for 5 days. So off the top, like my first description here, it didn't do it perfectly, but then after I talked to it a little bit and added some feedback, it went ahead and built a pretty solid algorithm. Now, is this an algo that's gonna be profitable? Probably not, but it's a really great example of how ChatGPT and OpenAI, you know, this is pretty amazing. As a developer, like now I can throw an idea into the OpenAI and it can kind of like guide me along the way. Is it perfect? Well, we're still yet to see if this works, but let's just keep on moving here. And I think it's saving a lot of time. So let's paste that in. So as you can see, we have all of this set up already. Import pandas as PD. I've already imported time. Scroll down here because this is more of an updated one. Let's make sure this is the same. Let's go ahead and print the SMA. Print just to kind of test it. Now this is like the first official test. We're seeing if the SMA is correct, and let's also print. Let's do an F string here and say this is the symbol current price, and then put in the price here and SMA 20, and we'll put in the SMA 20. I feel like this is a pretty solid test because, you know, especially if you're new to algo trading, this would take a little bit of time to figure out. You probably have to Google it. And I think that's one of the best use cases thus far with OpenAI and ChatGPT 3 is it just helps you with Googling. And it writes out the code for you. So you could Google and go to Stack Overflow and figure out all this stuff. But now you don't have to do that. You just get an idea back. Like instead of having to like piece together 12 different tabs on Google, right, and try to figure out which is which and what works best for this scenario, now OpenAI allows you to just type in what you need and then it gives you an answer. So that's going to be a game changer in my opinion. So let's go ahead and see if this works. This is the first test we're giving it, using pretty much all the code, you know, with a couple of tweaks, just bringing in my API keys and whatnot, using all the code that has been suggested by OpenAI. And the first test is, can it show us the symbol, can it show us the current price, and can it show us the SMA 20? You know what? Let's go ahead and run it. I could have even said, hey, show me that. Okay, so look at this. It says the symbol does not exist. Phoenix does not have market symbol BTC USD. So the above, I'm just gonna paste this in and see what happens. And now this is just testing with you. Phoenix does not have the market symbol BTC USD. Please correct that in the above code. Let's see what happens here. I know what the market symbol is, but let's see if OpenAI does. So the way I look at this is I don't think immediately it's gonna remove the need for developers like you and I, or maybe just I, and if you're learning this, you eventually. But I think as a developer, this is gonna speed things up a lot. And obviously I'm just showing you the front end right now, which is ChatGPT 3, but you can use the OpenAI APIs in order to try a bunch of different stuff. Let's see if it has the USDT, because that's essentially what it said. It says, hey, I'm changing the USD to USDT. Let's see if that works. Okay, there we go. So this is BTC USDT. Current price is this. The SMA 20 is this. Maybe because there's not enough data. And that's right, because this just gets the price. So while the code looks pretty good, I don't know, because you can't really get a rolling window of the mean. You can't get a mean off of one price. So let's say instead of just calculating price for one period in the above code, use a pandas data frame to get open, high, low, close volume data. So it's easier to create the SMA 20 and 40. Okay, so look at that. The code looks good, but is it actually good? I don't know. Thus far, like, I've had to tell it a couple things. That being said, it does give me some good ideas at least. So certainly, to use a pandas data frame to retrieve open, high, low, close volume data from Phoenix and calculate the 20 and 40 simple moving averages, you can use the following code. So let's go ahead and see if they use the code the way I would do it. The way I would do it is I would get a data frame and fill it up with all the data, right? And instead, they went ahead, the AI went ahead and said, hey, we're just getting the current price. But then you can't make the SMA off of just the current price, right? You need like multiple prices. You need the price for the last 20 periods. And I can already see here, like, okay, this is great that they got the last 20 periods, but edit the above code to get the last 200 periods of data instead of the last 20 periods. So thus far, it looks like we have to work together, right? So is OpenAI going to make it possible for you to not know how to code? Maybe, but you have to be able to at least know the high levels of coding, right? So like, for example, I knew there that, hey, you can't make a SMA, because SMA is the rolling average. You can't do that off of one price period. You need at least 20 price periods. So I asked it to do that, and it did it. It said, hey, open, high, low, close volume data is here. But it only made it for 20 periods. So I'm just gonna say, hey, edit the above code to get the last 200 periods instead of the last 20 periods. And I could probably just do that myself really quickly, because it seems like it writes out all of the code over and over again, which, is that the best thing to do? I don't know. I feel like they're gonna cut me off at some point and not let me use this, because I feel like I'm using a lot of credits. But whatever, I'm gonna run it and see if it changes this, all I need this to be changed to is 200 instead of 20. Now, because that's like 200 lines of data opposed to 20 lines of data, so my 40 SMA is going to work much better. Because right here, it won't get an SMA for the 40 because there's only 20 lines of data. So I'm just going to have it run again, and they'll probably eventually cut me off because this is a lot of different code I'm running. But, you know, thus far, my analysis is, you know, it's super helpful, probably for things that you don't understand. Right now, I know how to do this, and look at that, I just got a network error. So it looks like I'm just pushing it too hard. So let's go ahead and regenerate response. Only one message at a time. Please allow any other responses to complete before sending. So maybe this is the end of my use of ChatGPT. I'm gonna hit refresh. Actually, I'm gonna take all this code before I hit refresh just in case, because this is pretty good code and I can use it. Let's go ahead and now hit refresh. Let's go back here. Regenerate response. Okay, maybe that's all it took. Perfect. I've heard that the cost of running OpenAI and ChatGPT are really mind-boggling. That's at least what the founder Sam says. So I can imagine when I run harder things like this, not just like some, I don't know. I wonder if this takes more credits than, you know, generating like a paper or something. But now it's gonna update it for the 200 periods, and I'm gonna run its next test here off of this. Now we know this test right here didn't work because it just got one price instead of open, high, low, close volume. Now that's one thing about this is if you're not an experienced coder, like it might be tricky because you wouldn't realize, why didn't this work? Now I've written so many bots and I've taught this so many times that I know that it wouldn't work because there's only one price and you need 20 total prices to get the mean. But if you're new to this, it might be different. Let's call this exchange, since it's doing that. And let's run another test on this after we make these updates. So I'm gonna delete these two lines and we'll go ahead and try this out. So let's start here. It says set the symbol, and then it gets the open, high, low, close volume data. It looks like it gets the limit of 200 now, which is great. It sets the data frame, which looks awesome to me. I mean, first look. And then it gets the rolling mean. So let's go ahead and pull in all of this here and run it. So retrieve open, high, low, close volume data. That looks good to me. Goes to the exchange, fetches the symbol, the time frame, the limit, and then it converts that data to a pandas data frame. One of my favorite parts of this is that even when it does something wrong, it gives you the English steps, right? So like for the case of initializing the exchange, the first time we did this, it didn't put in my keys, but at least it told me the first step, right? So it's, in my opinion, much better than Google at this point. I'm sure Google has something equally, if not better than this, but at this point, it's like a good way to, it's like a pair programmer, somebody to help you out while you're programming, in my opinion. So I'm liking it a lot, and we'll keep testing this out. So we got the open, high, low data, and then we get the mean of the close, and then the current price. What is the current price? Well, I guess we don't have the current price anymore. But one other thing I could do is print data frame, and this data frame is going to print out the data frame. So let's put that above this one so we can see that at the bottom, and let's just test it out, see how it did. Okay, this is great, I think. Well, it says this is BTC and this is the SMA 20, and then NAN, print the SMA 20, and it says the SMA 20 is this. Okay, this is better. All right, let's look at the data frame. This is tricky because this shows the last SMA. I only want to see the last, and store the SMA 20 in above code, store only the last SMA 20 and SMA 40, most recent as a variable to use in the buying decisions instead of a price series. So what's happening here, and this is why I'm asking it to rewrite it, is because the SMA 20 is actually grabbing the whole row of SMA 20s for the last 200. That's why the first 20 are NANs, because you can't make an SMA 20 off 20 periods of NANs. So you can see this is like, it writes good code, I guess, kind of, but you have to be able to tweak it. So I'm gonna keep playing with this because I think there's definitely something behind this. And if you didn't know how to get the last SMA 20, look at this. I know how to do it, but you can see last SMA 20 now. So if I go ahead and put in this last, and I just type it in here, store the last SMA most recent 20 as a variable. So you just do SMA 20 dot ilock -1, and then this would be last SMA 20. And if we want to take a look at the data frame as well, I'm going to open this to be a little bigger because you'll be able to see that it did create the pandas data frame here. But I don't see the SMA 20 on the pandas data frame. Interesting. So SMA 20 is DF close of rolling 20. So you can see here, and also add the SMA 20 and 40 to the main data frame. So let's run it again. One piece of feedback I would have is, instead of having to run all this again, maybe it stores it and it could just spit it out. And when it spits it out, it just adds the new function, right? Instead of having to go like dot, like symbol by symbol. It's a little slow, and I think it could be better. Now, I'm also going to start testing around with Copilot a little bit. Now, that's based off of OpenAI. I don't know if it's the most updated model, but that should be pretty cool. A little AI to help write code as well. Okay, and there you go. So it says add the SMA to the main data frame. And then it adds the other one here as well. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm gonna copy this. So let's just take all of this right here. And now it's gonna add it to the data frame, which is nice. So is this faster than coding by myself? It depends. Like, if you're an amazing coder and you know all of this by heart, maybe not. But if you still don't know everything by heart, which I certainly don't remember everything by heart, well, it could be good. So I'm gonna paste this in. Calculate the SMA 20 on a rolling window of 20. Okay, it got that from the data frame. And it's a DF close. And then it made the last SMA 20, the ilock function in pandas, the last row. And then it created the column, which it pretty much had, but it was hidden. Now it's here. I don't think that's gonna work though. I think it needs brackets around it. And then it gets the SMA 40, close, rolling, mean, which looks good. Then it gets the last SMA 40, and then it creates the pandas data frame as well. But I think it needs brackets around it, but we'll see. So while this is pretty dope, you know, it does need a human oversight still. So if you're worried that OpenAI is going to take development jobs right away, I don't think that's true. But hey, you know, next version, you know, in the future, I think it will be able to code much, much better. And it's going to take developers like you and I to tweak this, and we can build on top of it, right? So I'm already building some stuff and to make this a more improved model. And I'll make sure that everybody inside of the bootcamp gets access to anything that comes out. Essentially, I'm just trying to make that like the family of algo traders here. As you know, I record what I need to build in the day. So I'm typically not just making YouTube videos. I just record what I need to actually create that day. And I need to get better with OpenAI and see where the holes are, because we're building something that will allow OpenAI to be even better and really be able to code with you or for you. So that's pretty exciting. So my guess here is it's not going to print out the DF because this is going to be an error, but maybe not. Okay, so it didn't. That was not an error. I've just had that happen a few times. That's awesome that it's working. So 16,824 is the last SMA 40, which is awesome. And SMA 20 is the last one. So it looks like it's doing well now. So with a little intervention, I think this can code pretty well. Let's go ahead and I guess continue. That rebuilt it. I should have said keep going. Okay, maybe I'll just rebuild it all the way this time. But I think we have the code up here. No, I'm gonna let it run it out, and then what we'll do is I'll hit continue. I'll say continue. Keep writing that code, because we have gotten the SMAs correctly. We've gotten the last ones. We've got the 40 and the 20. And then remember our rule for building this. And I should write this somewhere so we can all see it. This is what we're building. With Python and CCXC, build a strategy that buys Bitcoin. I should have said and Phoenix. Build a strategy that buys Bitcoin when the price is over the 20 SMA, then hold for 5 days, then sell when the price drops under the 40 SMA. Now, I know it might not go over the 40 SMA, but we're giving it 5 days to do so. And I'll just say keep going, because you can see it stopped here. And that's a little weird thing. I don't know why it does that. Maybe it's just trying to conserve credits or something. So it says certainly here is the rest of the modified code that uses the last most recent 20 and 40 SMAs to make a decision about whether to buy or sell Bitcoin. So you'll need to define the amount of BTC to buy and the price at which to buy it at, okay? So we did exchange.create order symbol market buy amount df close .ilock1. So we're buying at the last close, it looks like. Interesting. I guess I didn't instruct it to do anything else. So this is kind of cool, right? Because even when I don't instruct it to do stuff, it probably uses all of the data on the internet to decide what is the best. I'm not quite sure how the model was trained, but you know, this is a pretty solid way to do things. So let's go ahead and say I think this is the next part right here. So let's copy that. And then we need to copy this as well. Amount. We don't have the amount. I'll make this so you can see it better. Amount. So we need to pick the amount. Let's just do 1 for now. Put that up here, equals 1. Okay, and then this start time, hold the BTC for 5 days. Trying to figure out how does this line up. So it says hold the BTC for 5 days, okay? I don't know where we want this though. I'd say that's a little bit confusing, because if the close is bigger than the last SMA, then we're gonna buy. Okay, I see how it goes. And then after it buys, it holds for 5 days. So it's just gonna go in a holding pattern for 5 days and just loop. That's an interesting way to do this, but I guess it works. And then after the 5 days, it checks again. And what's it check? Well, so we go through this while loop, and it's just gonna keep sleeping for a minute. And then if the close is now under the 40 SMA, I feel like this needs to be shifted over. Like that. Not this though. And then boom. This right here is the algorithm. I'm pretty sure. I mean, essentially it says if the current close is bigger than the last SMA, 20, create a buy order. It's gonna do market buy order. I would change that. I usually do limit orders, but it's cool to see that it wrote all this code. And then after it creates the order, since it's a market order, it knows it's in automatically. And then it says start time. This is the start time. And then while start time, time.time, while current time, so time.time is now, minus start time is under, I'm assuming this is 5 days, sleep for a minute. So it just loops until it's that. And then if the close is under the 40 SMA, then it will create an order to sell it. Now, I would say we only want to do this. Alter the above code in order to only enter a position if we are not already in a position. Otherwise, do not enter another position. So I just like to explain it like there are 5. Do not enter another position. So only have one open position at a time. Sometimes I reiterate it. Let's see how it does. Because right now, essentially, if I had this all loop, then it would go ahead and continue to open new orders. So while OpenAI is pretty smart and can write code, you have to be very, very specific and kind of know what to look for. So if you don't know how to code yet, I would recommend just learning, because it's not that hard. I didn't go to school for it. I didn't go to any boot camps or anything like that. I just learned on the internet, and now I'm just coding every single day, new algos, new tweaks to my algos. And I try to put all the code inside the bootcamp, and that's all accessed below. And then in Discord as well. So you get access to the Discord, which is pretty neat as well. But 2023 is going to be the year of machine learning and AI for algo trading for the crew that's with me. So I don't know how long I will be sharing this information and sharing my tweaks that are on top of OpenAI. This is just kind of a sample, right? Because this is what this is what OpenAI has launched with ChatGPT 3, but I think this is just a start because it clearly needs some tweaking, and I'm working on tweaking this model to make it work much better. So if DF close, if not in position, if DF close, market buy, I think we gotta say keep going. Okay, I like this implementation better. Keep going. Here's the rest of the code. So this one looks better because it says if DF close is bigger than this, and then if not in position, and it says in position equals false. But how does it get the in position? So I'm going to say in the above code, check to see if in the above code have the in position variable check the exchange to see if we are already in a position. So this is pretty like interesting, right? Because it looks like really good code, and if you don't know how to code, it's like, oh my god, it just built me a bot instantly. And like if you use, even like as a coder, I look over this, I'm like, holy smokes, this built a perfect trading bot for me. But in reality, look at this, we've had to tweak it multiple times. It says in position equals false, but then how does it determine if we're in position? It sets a flag to in position as false, but I don't think that, you know, that's not the way to do it. You have to check to actually see if there is a position. So now I'm telling it to fetch balance. That's pretty much, I didn't say that, which is cool. I said check to see if there's in position and set that as a variable. And now it says fetch balance. We'll do that. That's awesome, but it took a little bit of intuition or knowledge from my side, and in order to kind of tweak it. So I've seen a lot of Twitter posts and whatnot, like, oh my god, OpenAI can code for you. And I think it can, to an extent. It can help you code, give you ideas, but you gotta work with it. Like, it's, the way I look at it, it's like a super expert coder, but also a junior coder at the same time. So it's like expert as it knows everything and it can find anything, but it's almost junior in decision making of like, how do I figure this out? So, but with some massaging, it can do it. So you can see now it's creating a balance, BTC, free. And is that the way to do it? Then if open position is true, check to see if you have a non-zero balance. I'm gonna say keep going because it looks like it cuts it off. What I love about this though is you can see the holes really easily, and OpenAI is it's OpenAI. Like, we can use the APIs in order to build on top of what they've built thus far to make this something that you can just put in a strategy and it actually spits out the entire code. And I think it just needs to be trained a little more with more algorithms. So, you know, I'm working on that, and that's gonna be pretty interesting. Like I said, I'll make sure that everybody knows when that is released. That's in the Discord and the bootcamp, all that good stuff. There's links for all that below. So the code will use the fetch balance method of the CCXT library to retrieve your account balance and check if you have a non-zero balance of Bitcoin. If you do, it will set the in position flag to true, indicating that you are currently in position. If the current price is above the 20 SMA and you are not currently in position, it will buy Bitcoin and hold it for at least 5 days. If the price then drops below the 40 SMA, it will sell the BTC and set the in position flag to false. It says keep in mind this is just a basic example, and I agree with that. It takes a little bit of looking through here. So let's go ahead and implement this one instead. Check to see if current price is below SMA. And you can see here, it kind of just like gives up on this line here. That's funny. I'm gonna take this though, in position from here all the way down to here. And I'm gonna delete this part here, delete, add, and now let's look at it. So balance equals fetch balance, okay? Exchange.fetch balance. And if balance BTC free, that means that there is BTC that we have on our account. If it's over 0, that means we're in position. So this looks way better. So in position equals true. So it sets that to in position as true, but initially it sets it to false, just to initialize a variable. And this is where I think a lot of the learning comes in, for me at least, is it gives us what it actually is trying to do. And then, with your own skills, you can tweak it or ask it to change a little bit for you, which is super nice because if you are learning, at least it gives you a skeleton, right? But as you can see throughout this video, it's not quite perfect, and I've spent some time trying to build this, and I would say it probably saves some time at this point. But as I've mentioned multiple times before, like, I still think you need to know how to code. Right now, my goal is to build something that allows you to just put in the strategy like I did above, and then it spits out a perfect set of code. Now that's pretty ambitious project that I am working on. So that should be, probably here this year, or well, I guess it's the end of this year, 2023. And like I mentioned, I like to code with you and show you what I'm doing each day, show you where my mind's going, because I don't know everything. And if one word or idea helps you think of something that changes the game forever when it comes to algo trading, that's so worth it to me, because I'm still getting work done. I'm just working with you. And if you do appreciate that, just let me know below, or hit the like button. That always just signals to me that, hey, just keep building on YouTube instead of coding by yourself. Because either way, I'm spending multiple hours a day building new algorithms or updating my old ones. And this is some interesting technology that I just really wanted to share with you. I'm sure you've seen it already all over YouTube or Twitter, but there are some holes to it. And I just want to make those holes pretty apparent, because you've watched me build algorithms by hand if you've been around on the channel for a while now. And now you can see me using ChatGPT and see that it's not quite perfect yet. In an ideal world, it would be able to just write the exact code for me. Maybe it's my fault though, I didn't give it good enough instructions. Maybe if you want me to make another video of giving it even better instructions to see if it can spit it out perfectly, I've already started working on some templates that have helped improve this. So like template instructions, right, of how exactly to put in your trading strategy so it gets even closer. It's not 100% yet, but like I said, I'm constantly researching and trying to build on top of OpenAI, and my guess is that Google has something probably even better up their sleeves. I read a quick fact the other day that Facebook and Google have like 80% of the market when it comes to machine learning engineers and PhDs. So that's what's going to move this industry forward. Not necessarily that you need a PhD by any means to do this, but if they're just hiring everybody up, there's got to be a few really smart people in that group. So that's going to be interesting. I just want to be ahead of the game though, with all this machine learning AI stuff, you know, as OpenAI and other companies release their models, you can always build on top of the models. So in the dream world, and it will come true someday for me, is I'm going to be able to put in text just like I showed you here, but instead of having to tweak all these things, it's going to spit out a perfect trading strategy that works without any edits. And that's where I'm going. So if you want to be part of the crew, jump in the Discord. There's a link for the camp below. I show you absolutely everything I know about trading algorithms and how to code them. So you can either code them by yourself or code them with ChatGPT, because you can see it does help me do some things. And it's especially nice for things you do not know how to do. I kind of know how to build this bot. I've built it multiple times on this channel. But you can see it at least writes the code for me. It takes some time. And for things I don't know how to do, I would have to Google it. So I can make some more videos on OpenAI and ChatGPT. It's pretty interesting to me. Let's go ahead and try to finish this up though. So I just pasted in all this, and it says, now it actually gets us a real in position. And it says it's true if df close.ilock -1 over the SMA. If not, then it would go ahead and start to consider to enter, but then it would say, if it is, and you are currently not in position, then buy some BTC. You will need to define the amount of BTC to buy and the price at which to buy it at. Okay, so symbol market, we're doing a market order, so there is no price we need to buy it at. I wonder what this is. So create order, amount, price, params. It's interesting because it has it set as a market order, but then it also passes in a price. So is that going to work? I don't know. I don't know about that. I'll have to test that one. But then it sets into position to true, which is correct because it did a market order. So you automatically get into position. And now it's going to hold for 5 days. So start time, time out of time. And then it says while time out of time, time.time is minus start time is less than 5 days. It's just going to continuously loop for 60 seconds, which is 1 minute. And that's pretty cool. I mean, for me, that's a different way than I would implement it. So that's one of the huge powers of OpenAI and using ChatGPT in trading, because it makes you look at things differently. Just like I hope these videos help you come up with different ideas for your brilliant ideas you already have, because I have a different perspective than you do and you have a different perspective than me. ChatGPT is like a third person, or even more. It has more knowledge than both of us combined. It's just about being able to ask the right questions. The same thing for Google, right? Google has way more knowledge than you and I combined, but it's hard to ask the right question. And if you ask the right question, the information is going to be there. But with Google, you have to sift through all of these results. And with OpenAI, at least, it just gives you an answer. And you can always be like, hey, I want a different one. So this is a pretty cool way to implement that. It's just going to make the order. It's going to be a market order. And then it's going to sit for 5 days. And then it's going to check if the data frame close, iLock -1, which is pretty much the price, is less than the last SMA 40, then it creates a sell order. So what I would need to do in order to actually get this functional is I would have to call this a bot. So like say def bot, like this. And as you can see, like this is another thing that, I also got really excited when I saw it write code, but without being able to without knowing how to code, it's gonna take some tweaks and changes. So like you're kind of gonna need to know at least the basis of how to code. Now this is weird that this didn't get pushed with it, but So if this needs to be sent over as well. It's weird how when you indent, it doesn't always indent correctly. And that's like, for me, when I was first getting started, indentation was tricky as well. So, you know, my overall summary of this is essentially ChatGPT is like an expert noob coder. Expert as it has all the information needed, but it's also a noob in the fact that you have to like really massage it and to get the right answers. And so now I put it into a function, and now I can say, hey, let's loop this function forever. And that will allow me to run this bot 24/7, 365. So how do I loop forever? Well, let's go ahead here and say loop bot forever, and that should be fine, because remember, when we enter, it just chills for 5 days. You know, if you have this up on a server or a computer, it's just chilling for 5 days after it enters, and then it's going to check this. So loop bot forever, we have to hit schedule dot every, let's just do 15 seconds, and dot seconds dot do and bot, and then we have to import schedule. Import schedule, and I might want to import that at the top, but then we'll say while true, we want to try schedule, and we put a try block there just in case like internet goes out or something. I don't want to have to rerun this, because for example, if the internet goes out or your something happens, I can just say print maybe internet problem error sleeping 30 and retrying. So I'll copy and paste that a few times. I want to go ahead and see if I can get this to run, but I'm not going to spend too much more time debugging it. You can see that if I run this every 15 seconds, let's just run it for 1 second now, and let's go ahead and go to my Fmax. Well, let's see if it runs first. Fmax contract. Let's go to BTC. Oh, it looks like my market maker is in there already. So that's interesting. Is it up a little bit? I don't really want to run it on my account because I have another bot running, but you know, this is interesting. I think it's going to work, but as you saw, I had to massage it quite a bit. So if you want me to do a part 2 and build more in-depth bots using ChatGPT, please do let me know. OpenAI seems to be pretty neat, but I think this concludes the how to use OpenAI to build trading bots using ChatGPT 3. Pretty awesome software, but like I mentioned, you got to massage it a bit, and I'm gonna keep training on top of their model, which is the OpenAI Codex model, and hopefully we can get to the point where you can just put in this and it outputs a perfect version of this instead of having to play around with it. So thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video or inside of the bootcamp, where I give you all my code, all my strategies, and all that good stuff. So see you there.